Of the art library houses over.
We bring you our today's news bulletin here on Luntha television. My name is Brennan Manza. Let's take a look at some of the stories making headlines. Vatican speaks out on controversial Olympics opening ceremony. High Court trashes MCP's 2 years eligibility criteria. In other news, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigns as widening unrest intensifies. 8 days after the controversial Olympic opening ceremony, the Vatican has spoken out. The controversial scene featured drag queens portraying the apostles on the Last Supper. We have a Rome report read by Tandiwe Mzumara.
In a brief statement emailed to journalists in French, the Holy See says it was saddened by certain scenes at the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games and cannot but join the forces raised in recent days to deplore the offense done to many Christians and believers of other religions. The Vatican further states that in a prestigious event where the whole world comes together around common values, there should not be allusions ridiculing the religious convictions of many people. The statement comes in the wake of an open letter issued by Catholic cardinals and bishops from around the world on Friday, calling on the International Olympic Committee, IOC, to repudiate and apologize for the intentionally hateful mockery of the Last Supper. French bishops and even Muslim leaders such as the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, one of the most important Sunni representatives, had already spoken out on the matter. The Grand Imam said shame should be on the perpetrators of this heinous abuse and those who accept.
The Malawi Congress Party MCP chairperson for the upcoming convention, Kezi Msuwa, has announced that President Lazarus Chakwera will go unopposed as the party's presidential candidate. The convention, scheduled for August 8th to 10th, 2024 at the Bingo International Convention Center, BICC in Lilongwe, will see contests for various positions, including the party's first deputy president, second deputy president, secretary general, and treasurer general. But experts say the development might be induced by fear of deemed an opponent after expressing interest to vie for the position. Helmut Katanda reports.
A total of 224 applications were received for various positions, with 204 candidates approved to contest in the elections. Anu Hassan and Abidamia will go head-to-head for the second deputy president role. Other positions will also be contested, including Secretary General, where 6 candidates will vie for the role, and Treasurer General, which will see 4 candidates competing. But commenting on the matter, political expert Victor Jibofia said the move might emanate from the undemocratic resolutions by the RNGC committee.
It says a lot about how a party then functions in terms of promoting democratic values and also allowing different members of the party to express interest in leadership positions. Because we know that President Lazarus Chakwera is not the only intelligent guy in MCP. There are many others there. So the fact that others are not coming out, it sort of brings about the picture that there isn't really much of democracy happening within the party, and that the voices of other people are being suppressed, because there's no way you can have the position of a president go without anybody challenging it.
The committee announced previously that those eligible to contest must be the ones that have since held recognized positions at the party for more than 2 years, which the court nullified on Tuesday. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I'm Helbert Katanda.
Meanwhile, the High Court today has ruled against the party's decision to bar some aspirants for being in the party for less than 2 years. The ruling came just after the party's press conference in Lilongwe, which released the list of approved aspirants, which left other contestants including engineer Vitumbiko Mumba, Alex Major, among others. Speaking to Luntha Television, lawyer Kumbo Soko, who represented the claimant in the case, Ed Banda, says the ruling also favors other people who were not allowed to contest. Here's Robert Edward for more.
The approved list for the MCP's convention contestants include Kriston Kampambe, Albert Mbawara, Isenhoa Nkaga, and Simplex Chichora Band on the position of Secretary General, Wero Ahmad Dasu, Catherine Gurani Hara, Moses Kunkuyu, Kwezi Nsukwa, and Ken Zikari Ngoma have been approved for the first deputy president position. However, engineer Vitumbiko Mumba and others, including Eddie Banda, a claimant against the party's resolution, were not mentioned, a development which turned out otherwise following High Court Judge Howard Pemba's ruling that the party's National Executive Committee resolution to stop Banda and others.
Now the court has agreed with our client and has nullified the resolution which had the imposed eligibility criteria on those seeking election into National Executive Committee of NCP. The view of the court is that the decision is not consistent with the constitution of the MCP and that therefore it cannot stand. Well, of course our client was Mr. Banda, Mr. Edwin Banda. He was the one who asked us to move the courts, but when a High Court has pronounced itself, it pretty much settles the law. So what this means is that every other candidate who has been affected by this eligibility criteria would be at liberty now to contest.
During the presser, the steering committee for the convention said the decision of the court will not stop the convention, which is slated for 8th to 10th August, but according to Soko, those left out on the list based on the contested eligibility criteria should be allowed to contest. There are between 1,300 to 1,500 delegates expected to choose leadership of the party at the convention, which has been purged at nearly 1 billion kwacha. According to the committee's chairperson, Kwezi Nsukwa, the committee received 224 applications and only 204 have been approved. For Luntha, this is Robert Edward.
Youth and Society, YAS, has urged youth in the country to seize the opportunity presented by the 2025 general elections and play an active role in shaping the nation's future. In an interview with Luntha Television, YAS Executive Director Charles Kajoloweka highlights the critical importance of youth involvement in the upcoming elections, stating that youth are a backbone of the nation and their voices must be heard. Charity Chilanga has won this report.
Kajoloweka stated that it is high time the country dismantles the barriers that hinders youth's participation in elections, saying many youths are informed, educated and ready to contribute. He said the country must leverage their potential by involving young people not just as voters, but as candidates and decision makers. Kajoloweka went on to call upon all political parties, civil society organizations and other relevant stakeholders to take tangible steps towards ensuring the meaningful participation of youths in the 2025 elections. This, he said, includes creating platforms for young people to express their views, providing mentorship and training for young political aspirants, and ensuring that youth issues are prominently featured in political manifestos.
To ensure that young people set an agenda for themselves through which they can engage different political actors, including aspiring presidential candidates, to ensure that their agenda informs the electoral process. We want to look at what to vote for beyond who to vote for. And I think that's very, very critical for young people because this campaign has to be issue-based and it has to be youth-centric in the sense of the youth agenda. So we'll be working on a national youth manifesto to ensure that we engage political parties to inform the engagement, the debate around elections.
Concurring with Kajoloweka, UTM Party Secretary General Patricia Kaliati said the future of the country hinges on the ideas, energy and vision of its young population. She said their party is ready to empower youths and invest them in a more dynamic, innovative and resilient nation.
We are calling upon all the youth to come, register and even stand in the constituencies where they want to stand under UTM. And this is the party which people are looking forward to see, to it that they support, they promote and also they develop the Malawi nation. And this is UTM.
The Malawi Electoral Commission on Friday, August 2nd, 2024 officially launched the 2025 general election with an emphasis on the need for increased participation of young people and women in politics. According to MEC, the youth demographic, defined as those aged between 18 to 35, made up 54% of registered voters in the 2019 elections.
Remember that you're watching the news bulletin here on Luntha television and you are with me, Bernard Manza. A reminder of our top stories. Vatican speaks out on controversial Olympics opening ceremony. High Court trashes MCP's 2 years eligibility criteria. In other news, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigns as widening unrest intensifies. Now, moving on, the Malawi government has announced a reduction in the number of beneficiaries under the Affordable Imports Program, AIP. The program, which aims to make farming imports more accessible to smaller farmers, will now benefit 1.1 million people, down from 1.5 million. Minister of Agriculture Sam Kawari says the reduction of 400,000 beneficiaries does not mean they have been dropped from the program entirely, but instead they have been shifted to other programs such as social cash transfer, among others. Faris Chizombe has filed a report being read by Charity Chilanga.
Minister of Agriculture Sam Kawale stated that the move is aimed at promoting commercial farming in the country. He emphasized that it is high time Malawians stop relying solely on AIP as the only sustainable way to develop agriculture. The minister encouraged farmers to start commercializing their farming activities to improve productivity and profitability. He believes that this will help Malawi to become a food-secure nation. In an interview with Luntha television, agriculture expert Tamani Nkunomvula stated that it is important for the government to ensure that farmers are benefiting from the extended programs, as some will be graduating to NIF and others will be benefiting from social cash transfer. He urged the government to be at the forefront to ensure that farmers are not facing any challenges in accessing these programs.
Well, I think the most important thing that should happen to these farmers is that at the end of the day, they should be able to access fertilizer and they should be able to access seed. If people are going to go into cash transfer programs, these programs should enable them to access these inputs. If they are going to go towards leaf, the provisions have to be made that these farmers should indeed going to benefit. If there will be conditions that these farmers are supposed to do to get the leaf program, the government should be aware of the challenges that the farmers should have. If they access leaf, they need the conditions for accessing.
The AIP was introduced in the country to support smallholder farmers in accessing affordable farming inputs such as seeds and fertilizers.
Charity Chilanga there reading a report compiled by Faris Chizombe. And still in agriculture, the 2024 tobacco marketing season in Malawi came to an end on Friday, the 2nd of August, with the Tobacco Commission reporting a significant increase in licensed volumes. According to the Commission's spokesperson, Teleforus Chigwenembe, a total of 60.2 million kilograms of tobacco were licensed, nearly triple the 21.7 million kilograms licensed at the same time last year. The Commission has attributed the growth to an increase in the number of licensed farmers, with 12,778 licenses issued this season compared to 4,913 during the same period last year. Here is Emmanuel Chocha with the details.
The substantial increase in volume and farmers is a positive indicator for the tobacco industry in Malawi, signaling a potential boost to the country's economy. In an interview, Tobacco Commission spokesperson Teleforus Chigwenembe said the Commission is impressed with the increase in growers' registration and licensing exercise, as the data shows there is a growing interest in tobacco production in the 2024-2025 season.
The increased demand for tobacco growing licenses is an indication that a lot of people are impressed with the prices or with the performance of the market in the just ended selling season. Prices were good, and we are convinced that it is these prices that have motivated people to come and join tobacco production.
The Tobacco Commission aims to increase annual tobacco production in the country to 200 million kilograms by 2028, a goal that seems achievable given the current trend. Malawi has been struggling to meet the trade demand for its tobacco. With the 2023-2024 season seeing a demand of 190 million kilograms, but only under 140 kilograms sold. The Commission is convinced that there is a great market opportunity for Malawi to seize, given the growing interest in the tobacco production and increasing demand for the country's tobacco. For Luntha News, this is Emmanuel Chuocha.
And in other news, Bangladesh's Prime Minister resigned and fled the country on Monday after weeks of protests against the quota system for government jobs descended into violence and grew into a broader challenge to our 15-year rule. Thousands of demonstrators stormed our official residence and other buildings associated with our party and family. We have an African News report read by Tandiwe Nuzmala.
Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's departure threatens to create even more instability in the densely populated nation on India's border that is already dealing with a series of crises, from high unemployment and corruption to climate change. After the embattled leader was seen on TV boarding a military helicopter with his sister, the country's military chief, General Weka Uzuman, sought to reassure a jittery nation that order would be restored. He said he met with opposition politicians and civil society leaders and would seek the president's guidance on forming an interim government. He promised that the military would launch an investigation into the deadly crackdown on student-led protests that led to some of the country's worst bloodshed since the 1971 War of Independence and fueled outrage against the government. Even after Weka Uzuman spoke, people continued to pour into and out of Hasina's official residence, taking furniture and pulling raw fish from the refrigerators. The protests began in early July as peaceful demands from university students to abolish quotas in civil service jobs. A third of these are reserved for relatives of veterans from Bangladesh's war for independence from Pakistan in 1971.
That also concludes this edition of the news bulletin here on Luntha Television. But before we go, a reminder of our top stories. Vatican speaks out on controversial Olympics opening ceremony. High Court trashes MCP's 2 years eligibility criteria. And Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigns as widening unrest intensifies. My name is Bernard Mwanza. Thank you so much for watching and continue watching the rest of our programs. Goodbye.